Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Question Pro's Fireside Chats. We're going to be talking AI and revolutionizing the front line of CX, and it is my huge pleasure today to be joined by Tushar Jain. And I love this because we connected and have had some brilliant conversations off the back of him watching a couple of these podcasts, and I think it's this sort of viral loop kicking off that you get to meet more people and talk on the topic of CX and things that are impacting that world, excuse me, at the minute. So welcome to share.
Thank you, Nick. It's my pleasure to be part of this fireside chats and talk about my experience. Thank you for inviting me.
Fantastic. And I think, saying we've had a few chats, off him watching a podcast or two, we've even got into cricket and the Cricket World Cup, and I would love to wish India all success for the final on Saturday after a not particularly close semi-final against England that I was watching last night.
Thank you.
So Tushar is the co-founder and CEO of Enthu AI. It's a SaaS platform for B2B sales teams to derive intelligence from customer conversations and drive performance of the teams who are actually speaking to your customers on the phone. So I think we've got a really interesting conversation ahead, which I'm really looking forward to. You'll be able to tune in, each month for these Question Pro Fireside Chats. They're usually 30 minutes at 11 a.m. UK time, depending on the guests, topics, regions we're focusing on. We're live normally on my LinkedIn, but I hear there's a bit of a technical issue with that today. So we're on Question Pro's YouTube and X feeds. Please do post any comments or questions that you have, as we want to make these as much a part of the discussion as we can. So just before we kick off, what are Question Pro's Fireside Chats all about? Really, they're just informal discussions with our clients, partners, subject matter experts, to share ideas, thoughts, experiences, challenges, and best practices in the world of CX, research, data, and insights. So jumping straight in, to share, I guess, I'm so happy that we connected, and I think, what you're building with Enthu AI is amazing, but fascinated by sort of how you've ended up there. What's your sort of career story, if we can kick off with that?
Sure. So before starting Enthu, Nick, I had spent my fair share in large enterprises as well as startups. So I was working, I'm an engineer and an MBA by education, and I was working with a major IT services company in their sales team. Then I joined one of the big four consulting services company as a researcher, right, where I was working with customers trying to understand their problems. In 2020, when COVID hit, I was running another company which was in the field of marketing, and unfortunately, just like anyone, we also faced all our customers vanished in a single day, right? And that's when we started thinking, okay, what are some more important problems, urgent problems, high value problems that we can work upon? And that's when, I have been in roles where I have set up contact centers. I have set up, customer facing teams or consumer brands. Plus in my last startup, the one which I pivoted during COVID, right, I also had sales teams there, right, which were talking to customers. So this idea of AI is an amalgamation of multiple experiences that I had, and that's when I realized that running a sales team, running a frontline team is not putting bums on seats, right? It's not just you hire people, you put them on phone lines, give them chairs, and they can make wonders. There is a process, technology, and people story behind it, and we thought that people is the most important story in this entire sales, this frontline piece. So that's how the
I love that, and I felt the same a lot across my career. I started out as a customer service advisor, and really felt you're having these brilliant conversations with customers, but how can you share that better around the organization. I then was lucky to set up a contact center for Sky in Spain, and we had a great team, and really wanted them to feel that they give as much as we get out of them, and how can we sort of harness the human nature of that and use these different tools that are emerging to like help pick all the great information out of their conversations, but also help them and make them feel valued. So some great stuff there. And I agree with you that the human element of sort of people having conversations, but then helping them with technology is really important. So I think great use cases for Enthu there. And as I understand it, you're kind of actually trying to make a difference with AI on the front line. There's loads of talk, loads of buzz about AI at the minute, but where do you think it's really helping those people on the front line, on the calls with customers at the minute?
You're talking about AI in general or about our solution Enthu.ai in particular?
Let's start with your solution,
Okay.
and let's open it up to sort of more general stuff, or the other way around, whatever you prefer.
I think the other way around is easier for me to answer.
Okay.
So building the
Let's do
context
that.
first. So, if we look at how AI is helping businesses, right? The clear use of AI is in automating stuff which earlier was not possible, right? Where you had to put in a lot of manual effort, but still things won't be achieved, or it's humanly impossible to do some stuff, right? A couple of things. We'll talk about what some of these are, right? So I think a clear use case of AI is, can I shrink my let's say workflows? Can I automate my workflows with least involvement of a human being, right? That's how we started with AI, our AI journey, right? Specifically talking about Enthu.ai, I talked about there are three pieces in your entire frontline customer experience deliverability. First is human element, second is tech, third is process. And we realized that your CX is probably 60-70% dependent on the human who is delivering it, right? So Enthu.ai, our focus is completely on this human element, which means when I have agents, when I have frontline staff delivering customer experience, can I build visibility around what they are doing, right? So consider a case. I run let's say an insurance brokerage. I have 100 people talking to my customers day in and day out, right? In the normal scenario, without deploying AI, probably I just listen to a couple of conversations and build my visibility around the entire contact center operation, just looking at those 20, 30, 40 calls, right? Which is not even 1% of your data set. What Enthu does is it brings visibility across 100% of the conversations, so that you can take informed decisions, right? Talk to any CX person, right? They would say my CSAT is probably 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, but what gives you sleepless nights? I don't know how my agents are doing, right? So the numbers are actually not telling, and we not matching up, right? And we give you that visibility so that you can be confident around what you are doing, right? That is what at a very high level we are doing. Obviously there's a lot of meat to this.
And let's talk about some of that meat to that, because in that contact center role that I spoke about, I very much had something that was listening to all of my conversations, or my guys' conversations. And that in a customer experience world for me was so important, because you could then think of the questions that you wanted to ask about, well, what are our customers saying about us, rather than just getting feedback and answers to the questions that you ask. Is that a big part of it, do you think?
That is definitely a big part of it. So there are two things to it, right? The first thing is, when there is a frontline agent, what is he talking about? There are some some criteria that they have to match. For example, they have to be empathetic, right? They have to build the rapport. It's non-negotiable, right? Are my agents doing that? What type of objections they are what type of objections come, and how are they handling those objections? So first part is, can I have a deeper look into my agents and then figure out how I can improve them, right? The second part of the piece is what information or what insights I can get from my customer. So the VOC that we talk about, voice of customers, largely it's dependent
Yeah.
on surveys, right? I run NPS, I
Yeah.
run CSAT, other type of surveys, and I try to run a VOC. In a contact center, I already have the voice of my customer. Can I generate insights
Yes.
from there? Right? And then based on use cases, you can have multiple aspects. For example, can I predict the what so can I predict the probability of conversion of a lead? Or can I say that, okay, these were the leads that did not convert or did not move forward, but
Mm.
because of some signal, call them again, and these are your, out of your bunch, these 20% are the high conversion, they have the high conversion signals. Or if someone is calling me, what's the churn signal like? What's the probability of
Mm.
this customer churning? And rather than waiting till the point they churn, I can build uh, proactive measures to reduce that
Mm.
churn, right? So the use cases are varied, but the thing here is what I can do for my agent, what I can do from the data that I generate from the customer end, and are there ways to maybe plug these two together and run
Yeah.
better operations, right?
Yeah. So I love that. So it's really that sort of whole big picture of, let's start with my agent. How can I make their life easier? But
Yeah,
then what other insight can I generate for the rest of the
absolutely.
organization? And more specifically, can I start predicting things that might happen? And do you go on to sort of like offer next best actions when advisors are speaking to people and stuff? Or is it,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So, for example, using our platform, we can answer that. Okay, what were some of the improvement areas for this agent at an individual call level, and then we can collate all that data and show you that, okay, probably these are the 5 high priority items for your agent, right?
Yeah.
Without you making any intervention in, as a
Yeah.
as a as a sales coach. So your role turns into validating the stuff rather than generating the stuff, right?
Yes.
Rather than generating those coaching insights, you validate whether the insights given by AI, they are in sync with what you are observing, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that's gold dust to some people. I remember even as an advisor, those difficult monthly conversations. Oh, I listened to 2 of your calls, Nick, and you didn't do this and this. And yeah, but you've picked 2 really bad calls, boss. That was just
Exactly.
something had happened that day. You go and find another one. I'm really
Yeah.
good at this and that. So again, that human element without being too big brother. I think if you set it up right, it sort of promotes fairness, promotes empathy. Also, I
Absolutely.
guess, allows people to think they are being heard,
Right.
they are being understood. And, this is one of the things I said to the team I had in Spain was like, guys, you might think on one level, this is just us doing more quality observations, picking holes in what you're doing, but it's not. It's so much more. It's actually, representing all the great work you do back to the rest of the organization. And that for me is a real challenge with customer service, and is perhaps, well, no, it's not even perhaps, it is the driving force behind my career in CX. Because I remember a day working as a customer service advisor when it was for a big automotive company who you will have heard of. I won't say who they are. And we had the product managers from the different ranges of vehicles coming to the contact center one day to, speak to us, meet us. And we thought, oh, what a brilliant opportunity to share some of the insight that we're getting from our customers.
Yeah.
This is like 2000, right?
Right.
They did not want to know what we were saying our customers were saying. And we'd done all this work, put all this prep in, and I was like, there has to be a better way to make these guys feel that they're delivering, useful insight back to the organization. And this feels like, it's it really, doesn't it?
In fact, Nick, this brings me to a very interesting point. You talked about trust, right? And that's a very, very important parameter. So I remember, when you talk to customers, it's my bias. When I talk to customers, I expect that someone would say, okay, I want to, optimize my process. I want to save time. I want to do X, Y, Z. very often he has started listening, started hearing it out that I want to build trust in my system, right? And bringing 100% visibility is the first step to this, to getting this
Yeah.
trust, because now I can show my agent, I can show his manager with 100% confidence that, see, this is what you are doing, these are the opportunity areas, rather than laying the onus on Nick, you didn't pick the right calls, right? Go and pick another five
Yeah.
calls, and then the blame game starts. So I think that's a very interesting point which you made.
Cool. And then, so thinking as well, more broadly here, and the buzz around AI, every conversation I have at some level touches on AI at the minute, but generative AI in particular, so we've spoken about, AI really being fantastic for taking away bits of process that are hard or things you couldn't have even possibly done. When you add a layer of generative AI on top of that as well, what do you think some of the sort of use cases are there, and what might make the most difference for customer service, for customer experience generally?
Absolutely. I think so. My opinion is, Nick, Gen AI is an inflection point, right? It's not that AI has been there for last, I think, 20 years now, right? AI
Yeah.
is not new. It's a generative AI that is changing the game, right? If I talk about customer experience in particular, how we are using generative AI is to derive personalized experiences at scale, right? Which means, let's say, for example, if I talk about an agent, and I just talked about it, right? Across every conversation I can derive insights using generative AI. I can just collate all those insights, derive something out of it, and give it as a as a roadmap to my agent. Same is the thing to derive customer insights, right? I know what last 10 conversations have been. I can maybe integrate with your CRM, pull out insights from there, and collating everything, I can put a layer of generative AI and help my frontline person to deliver a personalized experience, which brings an element of wow to my end customer because it's personalized, but I am doing
Yeah.
that personalization at scale, right? I don't have to spend the same time, which I was earlier spending in personalization. I can reduce those workflows, but still derive personalization to a fair degree, right? So this is
Yeah.
how I see Gen AI being used in the customer experience space.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, you think about any interaction, which is effectively what customer experience is, right? The customer just wants it to be solved
Right.
in a way that makes them feel good, and making it feel good is probably about personalization, right? So, the context and all of the stuff like that, so important. If you can crunch all that really quickly and come up with a good response, and I'm on board with you on the sound of that. But sort of going down a slightly different path as well. We've all heard some of the pitfalls, or you've got chatbots that go a bit rogue, or conversations that don't quite happen. What is it, hallucinations or something that people talk about? Is that a thing? Is that something people need to worry about, or how do you see that being addressed?
See, hallucination is part of AI, right? I mean, there's no denial to that, right? The point here is, imagine a place, or imagine a situation, or imagine a future where probably the technology would improve 100 times. You have already seen that happening, right? ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4.0. I mean, there is huge difference. So imagine a future where technology becomes 100 times better, price goes 100 times down, right? Price, sorry, becomes 1/100th, right? So hallucination is a problem today. Does it mean hallucination will remain a problem always? No, absolutely not, right? As we move forward, hallucination will reduce. The thing here is, because there are hallucinations, right? The first question you have to answer is, what's the degree of hallucination? And can I put, because the AI is hallucinating, can I put it in critical areas? Can I deploy AI in critical areas, or can I live with those hallucinations, right? For example, you talked about chatbots, right? We all had experiences where chatbots really go bonkers, correct? So probably I have to define, to what degree I can have those hallucinations. Maybe if I
Mm.
am, I, you know, I'm super conscious about my customer experience. Maybe I'll still shy away from chatbots, right, or
Yeah.
voice bots. Probably when I'm coaching my agents, I think 80-85% accuracy and probably some
Mm.
hallucinations, they still work wonders because there's a huge opportunity on the agent side to improve, right? So
Yeah.
probably to understand, hallucination is there, but how much is it affecting me? How is it,
Mm.
what to what degree my use case is being impacted by that hallucination, right?
Yeah.
That's the fair way to do. But I think you have to remain optimistic. Technology will improve, hallucinations will reduce, and you can control hallucinations right now as well with sufficient guardrails being built, right? You define your ambit in which your AI models are working.
Mm.
You can control hallucination, but yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
not
And
100% proof.
that was something on my mind. I guess,
Yeah.
in one way, it's not really any different from a person making something up on a call, is it? It's just, it's the same
Yeah.
thought process back to that human side. But
Mm.
do you think, and I've kind of held this view for a while, that when you're thinking about deploying this stuff,
Mhm.
is it actually your model or your company's knowledge base that
Mhm.
becomes a really crucial piece of technology for you? Because if the Gen AI is interrogating that as part of the model, it's then providing the answers that you want rather than ones it goes and finds from elsewhere. Or is that the guardrails piece sort of thing?
I think that's a very good example of the guardrail rather than, defining that, okay, let's say the question is around, can I cancel something, right? Rather
Mm.
than AI just putting its brain, right?
Yeah.
I have to build the guardrails that, okay, you have to work in this ambit, this is what happens, so you
Mm.
exactly get it bang on, right? So these type of guardrails you need to build, right? and
Yeah.
and still the AI will hallucinate. There's no guarantee it won't hallucinate, but yeah, the you
Yeah.
can predict the degree to which that would happen.
Yeah, and what about sort of other security concerns? There's a lot of talk about personal data and things like that, because for me, one of the best sort of use cases is, let's let the AI look at everything we know about
Mhm.
this customer from all of their interactions with us
Yeah.
ever,
Mhm.
make the link between what they're talking about in this point of time and kind of give the advisor something good to talk about. But is that delving into a bit of a gray area that people are rightly or wrongly concerned about in security sort of terms?
I think it's so new, right? The Gen AI path,
Mm.
that probably the discussions around ethics, morals, right, what's not right, it's still
Yeah,
evolving. But I
yeah,
think we have to see what we have done till now and what we can do within that ambit. So, for example, if let's say assume we are using OpenAI, right?
mm.
Probably we should use Azure OpenAI because it's built on Azure platform, right? It has the network isolations and compliances and private data protections in there,
Yeah,
right? So point is, can I what type of uh, or for example, let's say there is a lot of sensitive data in my conversations, right?
mm.
Before feeding it to my AI models, can I just redact that entire information? So
Yes,
for example, we redact 16 type of parameters. Let's say if we are working with a financial customer, a BFSI
mm.
customer, we redact all this customer card information, CVV,
Yeah,
SSNs, etc. Right, and then we feed the model with what the non-sensitive part. So
mm.
point is how you work in the frameworks that are there, the security frameworks that are
Yeah,
there right now. And I'm sure you have to evolve along with it, right? The
yeah,
security would evolve, the practices would evolve, and you have no choice but to evolve your security as well,
yeah.
right? So that's the thing.
So for me, I'm sort of hearing there. It's actually, and it's probably lead us on to our next question, which hopefully pull it together a little bit. But it's kind of like you do need to think clearly about how you are going to deploy this stuff and what are the go into it with your eyes wide open. What are the concerns that you're sort of stepping into?
Right.
Which I guess is like anything, but it just feels like there's this huge momentum push to do it. Maybe people aren't thinking through. enough as they go to do it. So what I wanted to ask you was, you've obviously got tons of experience in this space, doing some great stuff. Have you got any tips for people thinking about deploying AI solutions in the sort of customer experience space, and how might they go about it?
Sure. So I think I'll use the references that I talked about earlier. Probably that this becomes a summary question. I would again use the same framework, right? If you have to deploy AI, probably start with the element that you can, that has the biggest weightage in your customer experience journey, which is the human element. So the point here is, can I have co-pilots for my agents? Can I deploy AI to bring more visibility into the conversations? Can I see how I can improve my agents so that they can deliver better customer experience, resulting in better revenue, better NPS, whatever I'm trying to drive, right? So probably this is the first step, because this is not at the customer end, right? This is a back end operation, and I'm using it to improve my experiences. So all those questions around hallucination, ABC, right? They can be fairly catered here, right?
Yeah.
The next should be try to deliver personalizations, right? So now that I have data, I have visibility, what type of personalizations I can drive for my customers, right? And then couple it up with analytics, insights, right? And probably then you top up with, again, I'm not saying replacing your agents, but maybe augmenting your agents with voice bots, with automated AI that can answer at least the most mundane part that comes as part of your CX journey, right?
Yeah.
So I think this can be one of the frameworks to think about how to deploy AI.
Yeah, and it's a great framework, isn't it? You're almost testing it internally, getting used to it, knowing what the concerns might be. Then you're saying, right, how can we make our customer-facing stuff better? Then you're saying, right, what analytics insights have we got? Okay, now where can we totally go with this, or where do we still need a human? So I think some really useful practical advice there to share. Thank you. And you sort of said, I think on one of your LinkedIn posts, that AI is a powerful ally. Yeah. And I really like that phrase. It's sort of, it's not going to do everything for you, but it can be the champion in the background, making you better. I thought it was a really nice phrase.
Right. So I think it's the hero is still the human, right? But so it's like the Batman is still your frontline person, but AI can be the Robin for that Batman. Right? So that's the thing.
Yeah. Cool. What a great way to end, with the Batman and Robin of humans and AI. Tushar, thank you so much for a really interesting conversation for me today. Hopefully enlightening for some of our listeners as well, and really pleased to have made the connection off the back of another podcast and had the chance to have this chat. Thanks so much. So for everyone listening, sorry, Tushar.
No worries.
For everyone listening, a big thank you, and you can tune in next month on Friday the 17th of July at 11 a.m. where I'll be joined by another customer experience contact of mine, Kelvin Walters of Lloyds Banking Group. Thanks, everyone. Happy Friday.